Our apologies for that technical glitch. Back to our first story. Now, President Akufo-Addo says his government has been able to steer the country out of the most difficult economic situation it found itself in over the past 3 years. In his Christmas message to Ghanaians, he urged the citizens to help ensure a free, fair, and transparent election next year.
Hello, Ghanaians. I'm particularly glad that our nation has turned the corner. Following 3 difficult years, we, and indeed the world, have faced. Inflation is being reined in, we're experiencing a relatively stable exchange rate, and growth in our economy is rebounding. We continue to attract investments, domestic and foreign, reinforcing our position as the gateway to Africa, and we remain a beacon of democracy, peace, and stability in Africa. The country is not yet completely out of the woods, but there is a growing sense of confidence that with hard work and determination, Ghana will make it, and collectively, we will secure our futures. In this period, as we open our country up to the thousands and thousands of visitors who are celebrating Christmas with us, December in GH now being a global event, I appeal to all of you to exhibit at all times the proverbial Ghanaian hospitality for which we are famed. Let us leave a positive, lasting impression on them, which will help ensure that our country's tourism potential is enhanced for the benefit of our nation's socioeconomic and cultural growth. Next year is an important year in our democratic journey. We will hold on 7th December 2024 the 9th general election in the history of the Fourth Republic, which has witnessed the longest period of stable constitutional governance in our entire history. We all have a duty to conduct ourselves in such a manner that we have a free, fair, and transparent election that will enable the Ghanaian people choose, in peace and serenity, the person and persons who will manage their affairs on their behalf for the next 4 years. I'm confident that yet again, Ghanaians will rise to the occasion and reinforce the status of Ghana as a bastion of democracy on the African continent. For my part, I will always be grateful to Almighty God and to you, the Ghanaian people, for allowing me to serve you. I remain committed to the mandate you freely gave me and will use the last year of my stay in office to do all in my power to continue to help create a free and prosperous nation of opportunity.
Now, former minority leader Haruna Iddrisu is asking the Works and Housing Ministry to hand over the abandoned Saglemi affordable housing project to the Ghana Armed Forces to complete and live in it. The project has been abandoned since 2017, with several wooden and electrical installations stolen. The Tamale South MP says it is unconscionable that government would spend millions of dollars on such a project and leave it to rot.
Speaker, my other comment is on Saglemi. In fact, I just called my lawyer to give me advice. Paragraph 9.8, and Mr. Speaker, is my considered view. I'm sure I've shared it with the minister before. This back and forth of Saglemi, declare it a dedicated facility for the armed forces of Ghana and ask them to go and complete it and live in it. You cannot invest over $200 million in a project. And today you are still telling us that there was financial loss presumptively, or there is financial loss today, when your military are struggling for houses around that area. That is state resources. Whilst you do other things you want to do, give us Saglemi housing to the Ghana Armed Forces and ask the military to go and complete it. They too, they must provide labor. Nobody is going to pay them for it. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, they will be happy to do that. But this back and forth, I'm not too comfortable with some of the comments in the committee's report. but advisedly I've run away from it. Then, Mr. Speaker, uncompleted project, Minister. There are too many dotted uncompleted projects across the country. I came across one which was initiated by the Honorable Hakma Uswajima when he was at the ministry. In my constituency, around Sanjergo, in the Wamale area, a housing project was started. Mr. Speaker, is hanging. I'm sure the same thing happened in many other regions of Ghana. This country, that is why, under the directive principles of state policy, the state is enjoined to complete uncompleted projects. I think that next time you should government. I think you should come with a profile telling us the location of this uncompleted project and how much you need to be able to deal with that. Public service workers, generally in Ghana, their problem is accommodation. I think some of the lands, prime lines, we should dedicate it to public service workers. And Mr. Speaker, I say this because even as far back, I then engaged in Beneza and Power Bank of the Public Sector Workers Union and the TUC. If you build and ask them that every man lose 200 to 500, and he knows that he has decent accommodation, he won't go paying those ridiculous 50,000, 100,000 in lieu of rent. So government should prime those lines to do high-rising buildings and stop selling it to ourselves.
Now, truck pushers and street hawkers in Mankesim are demanding the implementation of right economic policies to improve their living conditions. Despite their large population, the groups believe political leaders have shown little concern as far as their needs are concerned. Some of them have been sharing their challenges in the expectation of deliberate policies for resolution. Nana Ojima now reports.
Today, the people of Fansiman constituency, Mankesim to be specific, gets the opportunity to make input into the NDC 2024 manifesto. This area is one of the seats held by the New Patriotic Party in the Central Region, and it's a target for the NDC come 2024.
Yempio, and Fansiman is going back to NDC.
A community engagement at the Fansiman lorry station granted opportunity to various economic groupings to present their challenges. One group that the lenses of the camera could not miss is the wheelbarrow pusher. This group of young, energetic men help cut wares of traders at the terminal.
Sabi, we all walk to school, but me help
I have been to school, but there is no one to help me get a job. I do this to feed my family. They should help us. We want jobs. There are no jobs for young people. The government isn't helping. Things are getting expensive. Demand for better job opportunities was reiterated by street hawkers at the Mankesim roundabout. She says, I sell octopus because I could not go to school. This is the only job I can do. They have prohibited us from selling here. We are caned for trading here by authorities. Traders are made promises always, but politicians refuse to honor them. They shouldn't target only white-collar jobs. We traders are very important. These calls were factored in the response to suggestions raised by various economic groupings who were granted opportunity to speak in the engagement. On calls for a conducive trade area, the NDC flag bearer, John Mahama, reiterated a 2020 manifesto promise to construct a market at Mankesim.
Mekaisa 2016.
I remember in 2016, we designed a market. After Kumasi and Techiman, Mankesim is one of the areas that does a lot of trading. We will construct that market for you. Meanwhile, the 24-hour economic policy continues to be pushed as solution to unemployment.
The 24-hour economy I propose is for jobs, and more jobs. And to render it simply, ejumano kofi beyebi, na sali fonso ayebi, na enyunam ayebi, na kote onso ayeni akano.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Cape Coast.
In our next story, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Library Authority, Hayford Siao, has successfully filed his nomination to contest the Nsawam Edwajiri New Patriotic Party's parliamentary primary. His attempt to file his nomination in the constituency hit a snag following the constituency election committee's decision to abandon its office. Correspondent Kofi Siao reports.
The Library Authority boss was first compelled to procure the nomination forms from the regional office in Koforidua after the same committee denied him access. The aspirant, together with his supporters, made up of constituency youth organizers and delegates, were left disappointed when they met an open, empty constituency office with chairs when they went to submit their nomination. Neither the constituency party chairman, his deputy secretary, the chairperson of the constituency elections committee, nor members were in the office to receive the forms, even though they were duly notified.
The party office, the place is open, but there is nobody here. So as per the party's guidelines provided in this document, we will head to the region because we believe that this is one of the obstructions for us participating in the parliamentary primaries. So with my team, we are going to Korea. The committee is headed by the chairperson of the electoral committee. This morning I have called him several times. He didn't pick. At 8:36, I sent him a text message that I will be presenting the forms. As at now, I haven't gotten any response, so I decided to proceed to come to the party office. And I'm here, nobody is there.
The well-determined aspirant moved his team as part of the guidelines covering the elections to the regional office in Koforidua to file his nomination.
Going to the constituency office and being faced with an obstruction, we knew that another layer of support has been provided for us, which is to come to the region. And so we made our way to the regional office, and thankfully here it was open and there were people inside and ready to receive our forms. And I'm glad to report to the polling station executives, the electoral area coordinators and the constituency executives that we have been able to do the submission, and we will await further communication from the region on the vetting. And so we are happy about what has transpired today.
Receiving the nomination forms, Michael Otinedu, an executive member of the party, says the aspirant followed the laid down rules guiding the elections.
The forms submit to the general secretary. So with all these measures in place, I don't see how you set out to decide that you will not register. But from what they said they went to the office, there was nobody there. So once there was nobody there, they want to file today. The region is ready, they accept it with the drafts and everything, and then send them to the general secretary. And that's what we did.
Hayford, who is seeking to unseat incumbent MP Frank Anodombre, is optimistic of emerging victorious in the January elections. For Joy News, Edwin Kofi Siao, Koforidua.
Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Volta Serene Hotel, Rhoda Ashabi, has called on stakeholders to endeavor to maintain the country's peaceful atmosphere during the 2024 elections. She wants Ghanaians to demonstrate goodwill and brotherly love heading into the process in December 2024. She was speaking at the Volta Serene Hotel's Carol's Night Service in Ho in the Volta region.
It was a night of celebration characterized by singing and dancing as people from the business community, academia and public servants among others joined the staff of Volta Serene Hotel to take part in the Carols Night service. A host of dignitaries including the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, Vice Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor Lydia Aziatu, and the Executive Chairman of the First Sky Group of Companies, Eric Sedi Kutoche, read the 9 lessons of the night. Symphonials, VV Choir, and the Serene Choir were at hand to intersperse the readings, serving patrons with Christmas carols and other indigenous songs. A sermon by the whole diocesan financial administrator, Father John Peter Agage, focused on Christmas, reflecting the unconditional love of God towards humanity when he sent his son to reconcile sinful humanity to himself. The chief executive officer of Volta Serene Hotel, Miss Rhoda Ashabi, urged Christians to let the characteristics of Christmas reflect in their lives. She, however, underscored the importance of protecting the country's peace during the 9th general elections in the Fourth Republic.
Our theme for this evening service, peace on earth and goodwill to all men, chosen from Luke 2:14, could not have come at a better moment than now, in view of the recognition that 2024 is a very important year for us all. A year in which our solemn prayer is that let us protect, shield the peace God has blessed.
Our apologies for that interference, and that's how we cap off the AM News this morning. But stay with us. Up next, we serve you the news with Dr. Wisdom Dugbe, a finance analyst. Welcome back once more. Our apologies, some technical issues this morning, but here we are back again. Now, my guest, I'll allow him to introduce himself to you, but he actually is a finance executive, and he'll be joining the conversation shortly. But before we get there, this segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they're offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Nowadays, so many things happen with the food we consume, the lack of exercise, the sedentary lives that a lot of people actually do get to live. Some are at the office, I don't want to mention any sectors, 8 or 9, some even 7, till late in the day, sitting throughout. So many complications arise. And we walk about as though our bodies were machines that did not need servicing. Our bodies are like machines. They need servicing. In this case, regular medical checkups. And that's why I'm proffering for you Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Here's where you can find them. In Accra, they're at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi in the Ashanti region, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade, Anaji Estate, that's in the Western region. Then there's Tema Community 22. There's Techiman Hanswa and Siama and Zama. If you'd like to reach them, these are the numbers: 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review. My guest this morning, Dr. Wisdom Dugbe. He is a finance executive. There's a whole lot he's done, and currently he's not even in the country. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben. Thanks for having me.
What's the time where you are? Where specifically are you?
I am in the Carolinas, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. It is 1:42 a.m.
1:42 a.m. Look at the time we got you, rising and shining. Anyway, I usually do this for first-timers on the news review, so I'm going to throw it to you. You can say it better. Who is Dr. Dugbe? Just tell us a bit about yourself. Share your profile with all of us.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Ben, for having me. I was born and raised in Ghana. I went to senior high school at Maoli School at Ho in the Volta region of Ghana. In fact, it is one of the good senior high schools you can find in the country. Then I know you went to Bishop Herman College, so let me pick up on you a little bit here. Bishop Herman is definitely a good school too. And I remember back in the day, they were trying to be like Marley School, and I admired that aspiration. That's a joke. That's a joke. But yeah, I went to Marley School. And
I was just waiting for you to land. Oh, but I mean, to acknowledge there are some top schools in the Volta region that have always been up there. There was a time when Bishop Herman had no competition at all. Now, there is a lot of competition. And schools that have done pretty well, I mean, of course, I'll start with Bishop Herman, Mauli, Spako, now Keta Technical, Senior Technical High School, among others. I mean, there are so many schools doing very well. How can I miss out our very own Ola, among others? We produce some very good schools. But on the other hand, it's also sometimes a lack of resources that does not make these schools, you know, go to some of the heights they could have gone to. So, I mean, and I feel while there's inner competition, yeah, my school and that school, in the end, we want the schools in the region to thrive so that the region can also become better. So I feel you on that.
Of course. Yeah, I went to Mali School, and then I proceeded to the University of Ghana, Legon. And I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, majoring in finance and banking. Then I did my national service at Volta River Authority, and eventually I got hired after my service by Deloitte. From there, I got into an MBA program here in the U.S. at Virginia Commonwealth University. Thankfully, I was hired by one of the banks here even before I graduated, and the rest is history from there. Today, I work in financial services sector. I was also fortunate to have attended Harvard for a program in leadership, fully sponsored by my company. I didn't have to pay a dime for it. Outside of work, my wife and I are founders of a charity organization based here in the U.S. Called Heaven's Relief, and we focus on poverty reduction, education, and healthcare. In fact, every year I come to Ghana, I lead a team of missionaries to Ghana for charity work and also for missions. Last year, by the help of my very good friend, Honorable Thomas Ampim, the MP for Esojaman constituency, we were fortunate enough to be given about 20 acres of land where we plan to build a dream center to provide vocational training and also technical training, accommodation, and other facilities to the underprivileged in our society.
All right. So interesting dynamics you've painted for us this morning. I just wanted you to do it yourself. It paints a better picture, and I'm grateful you've taken the time to do that for us. But even before we get into the online portals, right, we're going to be looking at myjoyonline.com, graphiconline.com as well. There are a number of issues looking at your areas of expertise that I want to run by you. At the tail end, we can talk about Christmas and everything in between. But with the space you find yourself in, finance, okay, I want you to take a look at our economy. Just yesterday, or in that message, basically, at Christmas to the Ghanaian population, Mr. President spoke about the fact that Ghana was turning the corner as far as our economy was concerned, and everything in between. We've seen the year-on-year inflation drop. It's been quite a drop, I must admit. But when you look at the month-on-month inflation, it's been going up for many months. Things are actually more expensive. Some people don't understand the dynamics between year-on-year inflation and month-on-month inflation. But when you look at our economy, are we really turning the corner? Because I think I've also heard Pierre Laporte, the World Bank representative in Ghana, suggesting that we are turning the corner, but there's a whole lot more to be done, and that some sectors are not in the right place. But many economists here in Ghana disagree that we have turned any corner. I think it was only yesterday I heard Professor Gachi disagree with that. But what is your take on that? We're turning the corner, or we've turned the corner?
Well, I think that's an interesting one. It's a $3 billion question. I think one or two economic signals or indicators are beginning to indicate some relief for the nation. You know, while the $3 billion program with the IMF will provide some relief, we have to look at other factors. The other day, just like you mentioned, I heard His Excellency President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia They were talking about how we started the year with an inflation rate north of 50%. And as of now, I learned it's around 26%.
26 plus percent.
Good news. Right, it's good news. It's good news for the country, but every chatter that the economy is on the mend will not resonate with the average Ghanaian until the people begin to feel the ease in their pocketbooks. When they go to grocery shopping, buying raw materials for their businesses and so on. We're experiencing the same phenomenon in the U.S., where folks are complaining of higher prices, when truly the inflation rate in the U.S. happens to be one of the lowest comparatively in the current economic dispensation. I would say, though, that I agree. I actually read a story on your my John line before I got on, and I agree with Professor John Gachi, the Dean of School of Business at UCC.
Yeah.
That there are more factors or indicators of economic recovery beyond just inflation that His Excellency, the President and Vice President are touting. We need to look at GDP, right, which measures the total value of goods and services that are produced within the country during the period in question. If it is positive, then it's an indication that the economy is expanding and is a key indicator of economic recovery. Then what is the employment and also the unemployment rate? Job growth should have a stronger net positive movement, to support the assertion of economic recovery. Then we need to also look at consumer spending, right? Increased consumer spending is a positive indicator of economic recovery. It is a show of confidence in the economy when people spend more money, right, on goods and services, which ultimately stimulates the economy. And then we also have to look at commercial and investment activity. When businesses start to invest in new projects, that signifies confidence in future economic prospects. Then the stock market performance, right? The performance of the stock market can also provide some insight into investor sentiments and also economic recovery. I will also mention a review of the housing market as an indicator of economic recovery. And another key component, Ben, I would like to mention quickly is how is manufacturing and industrial production going? An increase here in this sector is also a strong indicator of economic recovery. That is when factories and industries are operating at higher capacity. That is a measure of increased demand for goods and a boost to employment.
Right.
So the best answer, right, or to best answer that question of whether Ghana is on the mend, all of these factors should be indicating some kind of a positive sign. And that is not happening, then that becomes an issue of who is telling the truth and who is not telling the truth. But we need to look at these indicators.
You spoke about increased consumer spending. It is trite or basic economics that if people feel confident enough, they will spend more. And like you said, businesses or entrepreneurs would also want to invest more. The interesting picture, even taking aside or setting aside all the other factors you mentioned, when you go around town, and we've covered stories, I believe it's the Daily Graphic or the Ghanaian Times, have also carried stories on business people out there saying, look, it's Christmas. No one is buying anything. Very few people are out there. Yes, you'll see traffic on the roads, but people are not buying anything. I've been to the mall. In the mall, the Accra Mall, I mean, there's the ANC Mall. I've not been there, so I'll not talk about them. The Accra Mall, you speak to people in there, and they tell you people are not patronizing our wares. It's so expensive to rent here. It's so expensive to do X, Y, and Z. Yet, people are not consuming our products. They are not purchasing, and when they don't purchase, it's a big problem for us. A few days ago, I went into this place, a gentleman who sells clothes, a friend of mine, and he has what we call boutiques here. I was just passing through, and he told me, look, no one is buying anything. The place is as quiet as a cemetery. And I asked him since when, and he told me, look, it's been going on for months, and we thought Christmas would change it, but nothing is changing. So those dynamics, I'm sure, paint a certain picture. I do want to say, though, that it cannot be that we're stagnant. At least, I'm sure we've made some progress. But whether that progress suffices to, like you said, put money into people's pockets and say we've actually turned the corner, we're on the mend, I don't really know. But just to throw this very quickly, I want quick answers on this before we get there. I also know that you have some expertise in the area of mining, a little bit, and you have some thoughts on that. It's been topical, and I'm going to run this by you because of that specificity. The lithium deal Ghana has, and it's not just Atlantic Lithium, different places. It's been topical. We've heard from so many people. The first president or chairman of the Minerals Commission. We've heard from former Chief Justice Ifeanyi Kufu. We've heard from civil society, Imani Africa, a whole lot. We've heard from, I believe it's, I don't know whether it's Samu Kujato, and a host of other people, Dr. Manteao and co. What is your take on Ghana's lithium capabilities, the current contracts we have been set to have with Atlantic Lithium, and what do you, briefly, succinctly, what do you think about it?
Thanks, Ben. I think this is a very good one. I've been trying to follow this also for some time, so I'm happy to chime in here. Lithium is crucial in the manufacture of a handful of things, especially batteries for electric vehicles, and also some state-of-the-art energy storage systems, household items. So demand for lithium is actually projected to quadruple by 2030. Now, first, this is great news that lithium is discovered in commercial quantities in Ghana. But that said, it is important also to approach this in a way that is in the best interest of the nation. And, you know, I watched one of your evening programs where I think one of your colleagues, he did an excellent reporting on the topic from Aware. Ben, for a venture of this magnitude that has to do with the mineral reserves of the nation, it is important, right, to review the contract or the agreement and make sure that it is in the best interest of the nation as a whole. So there are a couple of factors that I will consider, right, when I'm thinking about this. The question that we need to be exploring here is it in the best interest of the nation? And how does the nation maximize the benefits that come from mining these natural resources? In the colonial era, these mining contracts or agreements, they were given to these operators and they paid something small in taxes and royalties. But with the Atlantic Lithium agreement, I think it's increasingly becoming evident that Ghana is taking the same approach, you know, by trusting the feasibility studies of the prospecting operator. Independent operations over the exploration in that area a couple of years back indicate that the area is rich not only in lithium, but also in gold, kaolin, pegmatite, and other precious minerals. So it seems that the current agreement with this company doesn't explore in depth the availability of these other precious minerals and thereby depriving the nation of potential future revenue in terms of taxes and royalties. So I think that Ghana must move away from the colonial era of entering into mining agreements and implement a more robust financing mechanism in the best interest of the nation.
All right, so we're talking about 10% with other concessions in there. As some have said, of course, if you add even a percentage point, you can say it's the best deal, like the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources has said. Other jurisdictions are getting a lot more. Do you feel Ghana, based on where we are? Because mind you, on the other hand, these people come with equipment that costs a whole lot. The other day, someone was telling me about how there's this particular compact vehicle used in mining, heavy duty, and just the tire, one, costs about $75,000, and you have to replace it every quarter or something of the sort. So it's cost intensive, intensively costly. On the other hand, you have to take stock of those. They come, they explore, they find, and all that. But finding the balance, the middle ground, do you think our deal is good or we could have got better?
I think we could get better, right? I think, in my opinion, we could get better. We could get better from this. What is happening is that if you look at what is happening with Jubilee Fields operations, I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day, and I understand that this high operating cost is being used as a way to transfer revenue out of the country, to transfer price and other financing mechanism. But I think, Ben, we could learn from the examples of other companies around the world. Earlier part of this year, 2023, ExxonMobil acquired the rights to 120,000 gross acres of the smart over materialization in the southern part of Arkansas, here in the United States. Then Standard Lithium also leased 27,000 acres here in Arkansas to mine lithium and brine production. The question that I have is, can we learn a thing or two from how these agreements are being structured?
What do you think we can learn? Briefly, what do you think we can learn from those deals?
I think we can learn exactly as far as revenue is concerned, right? How do we get the best out of it? What is the tax rate? How can we ensure that these people or the operators are not taking revenue out of the country, taking profit out of the country, all in the name of rising cost? I think that's some of the things that we can learn in these contracts.
All right, let's get to the online portals now and discuss some of the major issues there. We'll start with myjoyonline.com. And you see there, Ghana's economy has not turned any corner. Economist sharply disagrees with Ekufuado. I'm talking about Professor John Gachi. His take there, we've already elaborated on that. In fact, it is tied to the other story. Our nation has turned the corner, Ekufuado says that. But then you look at other stories, of course. We're bringing you Joy FM's Family Party in the Park. It comes off today at the Abri Botanical Gardens. There's Iran accuses Israel of killing senior commander in Syria strike. And then Israel-Gaza war. Hamas says 70 killed in Israeli airstrike on camp. And then 54 family health medical school graduates inducted into medical profession. In other stories, Stonebwoy sells out 40,000 capacity across sports stadium for BIM concert 2023. I'd like to find out from you, though, since we're talking about Israel and Palestine, what do you think about this war, how long it's lasted, the casualties, and how maybe we can bring some finality to this end of the fighting? I know it's an intractable conflict, but how do we do something about this? What do you think about that conflict?
Ben, I think the Israel-Gaza conflict is a long-standing one, like you said, right? And it's also a complex issue that has resulted in significant humanitarian and also political consequences, like the one we see now. It dates back to the 20th century. It involves dispute over land, borders, also self-determination between Israel and the Palestinians, specifically in the Gaza Strip. So it's quite an old conflict. And even my dad and some of my brothers in the Ghana army, they were deployed into those areas to keep peace before in the past, right? The war usually erupts due to a range of factors, including rocket attacks by Palestinian armed groups, the Hamas, into Israel, and Israel operations also across the border. For the last conflict, though, as I understand it, it is an unprovoked slaughter and kidnapping orchestrated by Hamas on the people of Israel. And I believe that the debate is whether Israel's response is commensurate and according to international laws governing wars, right? So regardless of which side of the aisle you sit or who you support in this, I agree with many of the Middle East experts on this matter that both Israel and the Palestinians should pursue a two-state solution as a long-term solution.
The two-state solution has been tried time without number. It's not worked. There have been the Camp David Accords. There has been the U.S., Big Brother U.S. usually, like you would call them, trying to find something in there. Of course, it doesn't help, too, that it appears that both countries are in the middle. It appears that Israel is, or maybe it's not just apparent. It's always been supported by the West, the United States, parts of Europe. Now you see some segments of Europe complaining about the way Israel is going about the war. But Israel is also saying we have to stamp out Hamas once and for all. Whether they can do that with the Israeli Defense Forces is another matter. Then on the other hand, you see others on the other extreme, the Irans, the Syrias, the Lebanons, and others. Hezbollah has been, attacking. There's a specific group that has even been attacking any ships heading towards Israel, coming through those channels, attacking them so that they will not be able to service Israel. So it's a tricky affair. With those angles to the conversation, how do you feel we can go about it?
I think that both parties should come to the negotiating table. I'll tell you, Ben, as to what exactly would take for the peace to come back over there, I think that would be above you and our pay grade. But I think that in the interim, so many lives have been lost already. So it could be that Hamas agrees to release the rest of the kidnapped Israelis, Americans, and the other nationals that have been kidnapped. And also, Israel pauses their heavy bombardment of the Gaza Strip. I think that critical humanitarian aid is needed in Gaza, and by all means, the two functions need to put together their minds, right, and put human lives first to get this critical aid on a continuous basis until the war comes to an end. There should be an open and a safe humanitarian corridor, right, for folks fleeing the war zone and the inflow of the much-needed aid to the true victims of this war.
And as we speak about that, we hear that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is actually saying, let me just get to that, he has vowed to intensify the campaign, and he has also said Israel is paying a heavy price. It's interesting. You know, there's been a UN resolution on the matter as well. Of course, it's not binding, but for me, from where I sit, I just want the suffering to stop. Suffering on the end of Israelis. There are still some people being held captive. It's a whole mess. Suffering on the end of Palestinians. Just yesterday, I was reading about a boy who set up, a Palestinian boy who has now been killed, who set up a website. He just wanted to be popular, and he was populating it, putting up a number of things. I mean, young boy, gone. He's attained a lot of fame posthumously, but on both sides, life is life, bottom line. It doesn't matter whether it's an Israeli life, a Palestinian life, life is life. How to protect it, that's the question. Let me just wrap with you on My Joy Online on these stories, and then we'll go to Graphic Online. So, linked to the conversations we've been having, the World Bank is warning Ghana. We will reallocate some projects' funds if not utilized by June 2024. I'll get into that story, but also tied to what we're mentioning. You mentioned housing. It skipped my mind to go to that because a lot of the housing you also see in town, and even those purchasing, there's a whitewashing system where people, especially politicians and people who walk the corridors of power, I said it. Yeah, I said it. And there's evidence to it. Those who are engaged in corruption, how do they keep their money? Yeah, some keep it at home. And I've not mentioned anyone's name. Some keep it at home. And others will also have to find a way of making the money legitimate. So you go to certain plush places in a crowd. Oh, who's behind this? Who's behind that? Yeah, a lot of the time, if you trace it, it's some politicians. Okay? And that's how they whitewash their money. So, oh, I have this place that I'm operating. A lot of the sky-high buildings you're seeing, it's money being whitewashed. It is laundered money. It is money, black money being painted white. So that is part of it in the housing sector. That in itself doesn't say much about the general economy. But household spending to grow 3.9% to 114.2 billion Ghana cedis in 2024 as inflationary pressure eases, or pressures ease. That is Fitch Solutions. Only time will tell on that. So let me just wrap here with that story. We will reallocate some project funds if not utilized by June 2024. World Bank warns Ghana. So the outgoing World Bank country director, Frank-Pierre Laporte, has strongly indicated that project funds allocated to Ghana, which have not been utilized, will be sent back to Washington, D.C. in the USA. This, he explained, was a policy designed to compel countries to use funds allocated to them within a specific time or lose it for reallocation to other countries in need. Quoting him, he says, "Our new president has taken a strong stance, and money that is not used will be brought back to Washington, D.C." Do you have any take on that? Hello, Doc. Do you have any take on that?
Ben, can you hear me still?
Yes, Doc. I was asking, do you have any take on what I just read? Please unmute. Doc, if you can hear me, please unmute. Hello? All right, so we'll try to reconnect to Dr. Dugbe as we cap off the conversation. But let's go now to graphiconline.com and check out some of the stories there making the headlines. Okay, so we have the front page of the Daily Graphic. At least we can get some thoughts on that. and it says, "Keep hope alive." And of course, okay, so this is actually from sometime last week. It's something we've done, but of course we can reiterate it. Keep hope alive. And then we are going to, yes, graphiconline.com. Construction works resume on Gorsu Road to enable gods who fled dusty area to return. That's the story there. Construction works resume on Gorsu Road to enable gods who fled dusty area to return. Wahala never they finish for this country. Anyway, there's also Baumia boosts Efia Santua's Singathon world record attempt, and guess what we saw yesterday? Dr. Baumia, together with Samia Wuku and others, showing up there. Hopefully that impacts our economy as well. Ghana's Black Stars gear up for AFCON 2023 with South Africa. It is time to reshuffle appointees. NPP General Secretary Justin Kodria, and we heard him at the Thanksgiving service of the MPP, make mention of that. Of course, that shuffle or reshuffle or even sacking of appointees, I heard colleagues talk on that, has not happened. Dr. Dogbe, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I was asking for your...
I would like to chime in on the construction work a little bit and talk about infrastructure development. I think you just read that topic right now, right?
Yes,
sorry, I couldn't hear.
I did, but I just wanted you to take a quick swipe at what the World Bank president... I can hear you, Doc. I'm saying I just wanted you to take a quick swipe at that story with the World Bank country representative, the outgoing one, Dr. Laporte, saying that the World Bank would reallocate some project funds if not used, and that the new president of the World Bank was very strict on that. How do you feel about that before you go to the construction bit?
So, Benny, can you hear me still?
I can hear you. Go ahead, Doc. Hello, Doc. Can you hear me? I believe there's a problem from within. For some reason, he cannot hear me. I can hear him, but it appears he cannot hear me. Let me take some more stories on graphiconline.com, and if we can wrap up, then we shall. If not, we shall have to move on. So, seek good names and not material wealth, Apostle Nyamiche urges politicians. I hope they are listening, I hope they are listening. Seek good names and not material wealth, Apostle Nyamiche urges politicians. But our politicians, anyway. There's also, these days we don't have many noblemen. It's a story we did yesterday from graphiconline.com. Freezy McBones hands Nigeria's Salami first boxing career defeat. He was supposed to box another opponent. There was a last-minute glitch, and he had to box Salami instead, and he outclassed him in just a few rounds, I believe 3 rounds. Dan Boche Atachia bow out of NPP parliamentary primaries. Man United confirms reaching agreement with Sir Jim Ratcliffe for 25% stake in the club. Nigerian terror threat student to be deported from UK after 40-month jail sentence. And then there is also Talal Fatal honored among most influential personalities of 2023. Remember him? Well, those are some of the interesting stories on graphiconline.com. Dr. Dogbe, this is the final call. If you can hear me, then we can do this. Doc, can you hear me? All right, so unfortunately, there's an issue with Dr. Hello, Doc? All right, so let's wrap with some thoughts on the BBC, and then we can cap it all off. We'll go to bbc.com. So the story's there. UN says no let-up in Israeli airstrikes in Gaza. It's becoming quite a situation, isn't it? Ukraine denies Russian capture of town near Donetsk. There's also Ukrainian frontline city Russia could seize again. The Jim Ratcliffe story is there. There's also plane held over trafficking fears lands in India. Let's just do a few more stories. Bodies of 5 people found in flat near Paris, and girl 7 with brain tumor meets queen for tea. There's also Afghans marry in mass ceremony in bid to cut costs. Maybe something Ghana can learn. We spend so much on some of these things. Funerals, weddings, and all that. Then, wrapping up with sports, Wolves condemn wasteful Chelsea to another defeat. What will be on Ratcliffe's agenda at Man United? And then Jim Ratcliffe, who is the man buying Man United stake? You can check out those stories from bbc.com. Right before we go, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us to bring you this segment. They're offering you prostate screening for free if you're a man, fertility screening for free if you're a woman. Reach out to them at any of these branches. There's Accra Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Chronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex, the Stakrade Energy State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hansua, and Esiaman Zama. Their call lines 0244 068. I'll take that again, 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. The one who joined us this morning, Dr. Wisdom Dugbe, he is a finance executive. He joined the conversation. Thank you, Doc, for joining. Sports is up next.
Despite his expulsion from the party in a letter dated December 14, 2023, Alex Kokcha-Pierre-Mo says he's still a member of the New Patriotic Party (NPP) and has even successfully filed to contest the upcoming parliamentary primary.
That per the receipts I've shown to the press and per pictures I have floated in other social media handles of mine, that my nomination documents were adequately vetted on behalf of the national office by the treasurer, and that he saw that I had paid the required fees and that the required attachments I had provided, and that he held the view on behalf of the national executives that my documentations were right and duly received.
Per the letter signed by the Nondom Constituency Secretary of the NPP, William Martin, Alex Kokmo was expelled from the party for incessantly campaigning against the party's parliamentary candidate in 2012, 2016, and 2020. First Vice Chairman of the NPP in the Namdong constituency, Alhaji Hudu Mahmoud, in a telephone interview, stated that Alex Kokmo confessed to have worked and campaigned against Interior Minister Ambrose Dere, who has been the party's parliamentary candidate in the last 4 elections.
You can remember Chairman Franzak wrote a petition against him 2018. Instead of him come and join us 2020 to do 2020, he repeated the same thing. So looking at things, we were seeing that we cannot allow him to participate in this election. So when we do that, we'll give a room for people to be doing such things, and it is against the party constitution.
At that meeting, did you confess that he openly campaigned against the certain MP?
Well, he even made mention of the 2016, and he even said 2082 was part. He confirmed.
The social development consultant, however, says his expulsion from the party was against the constitution of the party, urging his supporters to disregard it.
You said I campaigned against our candidates. That is 2012, 2016, 2020. As we speak, I know that MPP has no candidates. This is the year 2023. And so I certainly cannot be campaigning against any candidate. But if we were even to go to the years that have been cited in the letter, per the earlier clauses of natural justice that I have read to you, they ought to have brought the evidence before me. I do know for a fact that the constituency secretary through the region has been asked to provide video and audio evidence to support the allegations. I invite you, members of the press, to ask the constituency secretary to submit to you such evidence.
The Nandom constituency executives have however stuck to their guns, insisting that despite his claim of filing his nomination to contest the primary, his dream will be flamed out at the vetting. He wouldn't be part of the party's primaries, or he wouldn't be called for the vetting.
We don't know. When we go to the vetting, we will still insist that the petition that we wrote against him will be exist. We are still insisting that we expel him from the contest. No, we don't agree that he will be part of the primaries. As far as Nandam constituency is concerned.
The Nandam constituency parliamentary seat is one of 3 seats held by the MPP in the Upper West region. Interior Minister Ambrose Zeri is the incumbent member of parliament for Nandam and hope to be lucky to represent the party for the 4th consecutive time in the 2024 polls and probably extend his time at the legislature. His biggest obstacle for now, however, is Alex Mole, who is breathing heavily on his neck. Reporting for the News, Graphic Salam. Wow.
The Library Authority boss was first compelled to procure the nomination forms from the regional office in Koforidua after the same committee denied him access. The aspirant, together with his supporters, made up of constituency youth organizers and delegates, were left disappointed when they met an open empty constituency office with chairs when they went to submit their nomination. Neither the constituency party chairman, his deputy secretary, the chairperson of the constituency elections committee, nor members were in the office to receive the forms, even though they were duly notified.
The party office, the place is open, but there is nobody here. So as per the party's guidelines provided in this document, we will head to the region because we believe that this is one of the obstructions for us participating in the parliamentary primaries. So with my team, we are going to Koforidua. The committee is headed by the chairperson of the electoral committee. This morning I have called him several times. He didn't pick. At 8:36, I sent him a text message that I will be presenting the forms. As at now, I haven't gotten any response, so I decided to proceed to come to the party office. And I'm here, nobody is here.
The well-determined aspirant moved his team as part of the guidelines covering the elections to the regional office in Koforidua to file his nomination.
Going to the constituency office and being faced with an obstruction, we knew that another layer of support has been provided for us, which is to come to the region. And so we made our way in, to the regional office, and thankfully here it was open and there were people inside and ready to receive our forms. And I'm glad to report to the polling station executives, the electoral area coordinators and the constituency executives that we have been able to do the submission, and we will await further communication from the region on the vetting. And so we are happy about what has transpired today.
Receiving the nomination forms, Michael Otinedu, an executive member of the party, says the aspirant followed the laid down rules guiding the elections.
Wrote the forms, submit to the general secretary. So with all these measures in place, I don't see how you set out to decide that you will not register. But from what they said they went to the office, there was nobody there. So once there was nobody there, they want to file today. The region is ready, it accepts it with the drafts and everything, and then send them to the general secretary. And that's what we did.
Hayford, who is seeking to unseat incumbent MP Frank Anodombre, is optimistic of emerging victorious in the January elections. For Joy News, Edwin Kofisian, Koforidua.
Since 1992, the Oforicum constituency has been for the New Patriotic Party, giving the party an average 70% in every parliamentary election. Since nominations opened for the NPP primaries, the constituency has had supporters assembling to register their loud noises in the form of support for their aspirants. With 4 men and 1 woman declaring interest, party delegates will be presented with a decision to choose a new candidate for the 2024 parliamentary elections. Claudia Lumo Kwating is the founder of Collage Media, producers of Glitch Africa magazine, UN ambassador and Ghana Tourism ambassador for fashion development. The only female in the race promises to present a new narrative of entrepreneurship and female leadership for the constituency.
I've built enough maturity as a woman. I started my own business from nothing to make it a global brand. So I am here together with what I have built and the network I have built to use my own personal network and what I've done to develop and build and grow the constituency together. I always say that I am for leaving no one behind. And if I want to leave no one behind, this is part of what we are doing in Oforicum. We need to inspire women, not just women, but quality women, women who are focused, women who are mentally ready to serve our nation.
Trading analyst at Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company, Michael Kwesi Addo, the second candidate to file nomination, is touting competence to marshal Oforicum youth to break the 8 for the NPP.
It is not just for myself, but for the great NPP party. 2024 is going to be a Herculean task, and as such, we need to effort our marshals so that we can break the 8. I believe that is the time for the youth, and with me in charge, I'll be able to mobilize the youth of Oforicum and the entire community behind, looking at my relationship and years spent in the constituency to be able to achieve the numbers that we are looking for in maximizing NPP votes for 2024 and breaking the 8.
Nelson Owusu-Ansah, the Deputy CEO of the National Youth Authority, moves with the slogan "From the people, for the people," is coming off as the people's person. Nelson said his vision stems from the critical needs of party grassroots.
I am a grassroots person. I have worked for the party all my life. All my young life, all my adult life has been dedicated to the service of this patriotic party. And so today, if I have the opportunity to lead my people, I know what is happening down there. I know what is happening at the top there. I know the work to be done and to be able to win power in 2024. And I think there's no other that will make my people here happy than making sure that I have led them and I'm part of the team, the leader of the team, that ensured that the party has won power again in 2024.
Nana Jemfi Ejabo is the director of the Center for National Distance Learning and Open Schooling at the Ministry of Education. He is gearing up for digital transformation of the constituency, consolidating the KNUST community with the main neighborhoods.
The only person in the game now that can achieve results is the youngest chairman who can do that. I will set 3 strategic offices. The issue of accessibility has been a problem. That 3 strategic offices, one will be situated close to this place, the other will be at the center or at KNUST to be a strategic secretariat, and the one will be at Kentin-Krono. The one at Bomsu will look at Bomsu, so for Ward B and others, to make sure every delegate is being included, every constituent is being included.
Entrepreneur, philanthropist and research scientist Joseph Teyiri is presenting an all-inclusive leadership. He believes he can harness the potential of young people in the Oforicum constituency for development.
I'm going to expand everything that I've already done. So let's say I've currently given about 30 scholarships. I have about 30 beneficiaries under the TJTP, Education for All. I'm going to continue to expand that. And I'll crave the indulgence of everybody that just look out for the right candidates. Who has done it? Who has been impactful? Who has been able to touch lives? And when you look among all the 5 contestants, I think I stand tall among all 5. I think I've done it. I've been able to sacrifice my life. I've been able to make a lot of sacrifices to make sure that the Ubuntu agenda, and as we all know, Ubuntu simply means humanity. It's not about me, it's not about my family, but it's about everybody that's around me. How can you help the next person to move on to the next level?
The Oforicum constituency NPP chairman Anthony Amankwa is entreating aspirants to maintain a clean campaign devoid of personal attacks. 1,195 delegates from 15 electoral areas are expected to vote in the Oforicum NPP primary. Reporting for Joy News, Clinton Yeboah.
Welcome back on the AM show. Of course, with that background, you know we're hitting our big stories. The governing New Patriotic Party has ended the process for people seeking to be parliamentary candidates on the ticket of the party. Now, the NPP closed its doors to the filing of nominations this past Monday. We ask, what is next after this? Who are the major contenders and the big shots? Are there any likely upsets? Well, joining the conversation from the different regions so we can get a global perspective of what is happening, we have Rafiq Salam in the Upper West region, and we'll also connect with Martina Bugri in the Northern region. Let me start with Rafiq. So in the Upper West region, with everything that has happened, what is the scope looking like? Which are the candidates that are likely to get the nod, and what has basically been happening?
In the Upper West region, we are dealing with 3 constituencies for the MPP. And then these 3 constituencies, remember the NDC is holding on to 8 out of the 11 constituencies in the Upper West region. And so the 3 constituencies are Nandom constituency, Lambuse constituency, and then also the Sesal East constituency. So in these 3 constituencies, at the close of nominations, only 5 persons have filed. So let's start with the Nandom constituency, where we are expecting to get the most intriguing and interesting, contest between Honorable Ambrose Derry, the Interior Minister. He is expected to pitch his strength against Alex Kokmul, who is a social development consultant. You know, the earlier story that you played, you saw how Alois said that he struggled to be able to even attain the forms to enable him file. He started by saying that he went to the constituency office, he couldn't get a file, he couldn't get the nomination forms, called the regional office, he couldn't get, and then he has to get the forms, the nomination forms from Accra. But you know, this is an interesting situation because the constituency executives of the MPP in the Nandom constituency are saying that he was expelled from the party on the 14th of December. That was last week. That was last week, and they are saying that they have really expelled him from the party, and so they didn't expect to give him those nominations forms to file. And so the executives are still contending that yes, he has filed, but when we get to the vetting process, we will tell them that he is not a member of the party. He's been expelled from the party. So, but yesterday, the Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, also filed his nomination. The nomination was filed on his behalf by the District Chief Executive for the Municipal Chief Executive for Nandom, the person of Raymond Anero. He led a sea of party supporters to the party constituency office for them to file on behalf of the Honorable Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry. So we expect if whether he's going to be disallowed or going to be allowed up for a race, an interesting scenario will pan out in the Nandom constituency. Then we move to neighboring Lambusi, where we have only one candidate, the person of the incumbent, Dr. Bright Baligi. At the close of nominations yesterday, the information that we are learning from the constituency indicates that he was the only person who filed to contest for the party's primary. So, all things being equal, he's expected to go solo in this election. The last place that we are going to have another interesting contest will be in the Sesal East constituency, where my father found my mother. Because it's going to be between the Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Honorable Amidu Chinia Isaku, against Dr. Zato Jebunitia. These are 2 personalities. They will pitch their strength against each other in the Sesal East constituency. But let me also tell you that this is a constituency that nobody has been able to win, to stay more than 4 years. And so, right from the creation of this constituency, no MP has gone beyond 4 years. Either you are booted out in your party's primary, or you go to the main election, and then lose. And so that's the headache of Chine Amidi Isaku, who is a former deputy upper social minister. He wants to break this jinx, and he's banned on breaking this 4-year jinx. So the people are talking about breaking the 8. He also wants to break the 4. And so he's going to pitch his strength against a lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Jebunu here. And so it's going to be an interesting contest in the East Coast. So 3 constituencies, 5 personalities are filed to contest. And then we're waiting for an interesting party primaries in the Upper West region.
Hold for me, Rafiq. Let me go now to Martina Bugri. Martina, you've been waiting patiently. What perspective can you give us from the northern region, those constituencies and those who are contesting? Hello, Martina? Martina, please unmute. You would have to unmute so we can hear you. Martina Bugri, if you can hear me, you have to unmute so we can hear you. Martina, if you can hear me. All right. So we'll try to reconnect as far as the northern region is concerned and head to other places as well to get some scope, some perspective on what can be expected as far as this end of the parliamentary primaries are concerned. Mind you, they had an initial one on the back of the orphan constituencies where the MPP does not have sitting members of parliament. And now they are targeting those constituencies where they actually have representation. Back to you, Rafiq. So when you look at these 5 contestants in these 3 constituencies, what have people been sharing with you in terms of who is likely to get the nod and who is not? There are some that are incumbent and some that are trying to get in. What picture can you share with us?
The situation right at Nandom, at least Honorable Ambrose Derry will always be the heavyweight and also the upper dog in this race. This is Minister of Interior. For me, I would say that has done everything for the people of the Nandam constituency when it talks about giving them good multiple roles.
Okay, Rafiq, please hold for me. Let me try Martina. Martina Bugri, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so thank you very much for joining the conversation. What can you tell us from the northern region in terms of those constituencies that are on the chopping board?
Now, for the northern region, 4 people are going unopposed. Thomas Mboba Tatali is going unopposed. Mohammed Amin Adam is going unopposed. Hassan Tampoli is going unopposed. And Habib Idris is going unopposed. Now, with the 10 slots, 10 people are vying for 5 slots. And in Zabzugu, we have John Binam. He's coming up with Farouk Aliu.
Is that Farouk Aliu Mahama?
For Zabzugu, Fawaz Aliu is coming up against John Binam. And Miao Idris Musa Superior comes against Ayaba Aziz. And in Yendi, Farouk Aliu Mahama comes against Abiba Tashani Mahama. Nanton, we have Hadi Tuferu, and he comes against Kamal Dean. And then in Bimbila, we have Dominic Nito. He comes against Ahmed Zaruk. No. So these are the 10 contestants vying for 5 slots in the northern region. Now the Yendi, Miao, and Bimbila seats are seen as the most contested or most keenly contested, considering the activities that have come up prior to the filing of their forms. Yendi, for instance, they have come up with innovative jingles to try to get people to
choose between the two candidates even before the election is up. They've also showed numbers, and a lot of talk is centered on the Yendi seat. Similar is done about the Bimbila seat and then Miao as well.
I see. So you mentioned some heavyweights in there. You've mentioned Dominic Nitiwo. You've mentioned Hassan Tampuli. You also mentioned Musa Superior. I mean, who's contested on different legs for different positions within the MPP. When you speak to the people, or having spoken to the people, what have they been sharing with you in terms of whom likely they would be voting for in these 10 constituencies? Or in these 5 constituencies with 10 contenders?
Yes, in Yendi, it's difficult to gauge because of the previous election. It was a close contest. And so people are really not certain. When you speak to, well, it depends, but we would know, but they would always say that we would wait and see the final outcome because it's too close.
I think we've lost the feed to Martina Bugri, but I think she was about to say that they would wait for the final contest because it's too close to call, too close to call. And if you look at some of the names that have been mentioned in the different slots, like I mentioned, the bigwigs, Musa Superior, Dominic Nitiwo, Hassan Tampuli, among others, Farouk Aliu Mahama as well, it's also going to be tricky. But quickly, let me cross over to Anas Sabit in the Bono East region. Anas, are you in Techiman, and what can you report in terms of the NPP primaries there in that area?
Yes, Ben, the Bono East region has, 11 constituencies. 8 of these constituencies are part of the orphan constituencies that we saw the NPP voting in, somewhere last month or early this month. Now, out of the 3 remaining seats, Techiman South constituency, we also have Kintampo South constituency, and then we have Pru West constituency. These are the 3 out of the 11 seats in the region that the NPP is currently occupying. Now, out of these 3, Techiman South has the deputy local government minister in the person of Martin Ajay-Mensah-Kosa, who won the 2020 elections for the first time.
And Techiman South is a tricky constituency. We know what happened there the last time. So it's going to be keenly contested within the party and, of course, even in the general election.
Exactly, like you rightly mentioned, Techiman South is going to be one of the constituency the entire country will be looking at because of just what you said, the 2020 incident that saw some 3 persons losing their lives. So this is one of the constituencies the NPP is, paying so much attention to when it comes to the Bono East region. Martin Ajay-Mensah-Kosa is a big wig here in the region, and so I'm not surprised seeing him go unopposed. There's no candidate coming up against him because the people feel he has what it takes to kind of retain the seat for them. So no contest in Techiman South. Then we go to Kintampo South. The NPP, until the 2020 elections, never won Kintampo South. It's been an NDC area from the time that the constituency was created. And so former DCE in the first term of Nanado, Alex Jan, won the 2020 elections as the parliamentary candidate. And so this time around, he's going again. He's the incumbent. And I've not heard anyone trying to unseat him in that particular constituency as well. Now, the third constituency is the Pru West, another very stronghold of the NDC since the constituency was created. For the first time in the history of the NPP in the Bono East region, they won the Pru West constituency. The Deputy Rules Minister, Stephen Jalula, on his second attempt, he tried in 2016, lost with a margin of about 23 or so. He tried again in 2020, won the seat for the NPP for the first time ever in the party's history. So I was expecting that once he's done this, he's currently the Deputy Rules Minister, I was expecting him to also go unopposed. But surprisingly, We saw one Garba Idrisu, who has been a former parliamentary candidate before, has been a former district chief executive under the SWAL before administration, showing up to contest Stephen Jalula in the True West constituency. So that is the only constituency we are seeing a contest between the current MP, Stephen Jalula, who doubles as the deputy roads minister, coming up against a former candidate and then a former DC under force and administration, Garba Idrisu, trying to, seize Jalula out of the system to go again for the NPP. So,
right. So this is True West you're talking of, right?
Exactly, True West.
And looking at the contestants, the contenders, that former official under Kufuor and then Stephen Jalula himself, among others. When you speak to the people, what does the picture look like? Where are they probably leaning? I mean, from what has been told to you?
Yes, I've been able to speak with some, party executives in the area and some delegates as well, who are likely going to cast their ballots in the next, elections, January elections. But what they are telling me is, looking at what Jalula has been able to do, no one has ever done it in the party's history. If you know the dynamics of the Bono East region very well, the Pro East, Pro West, Sene East, Sene West, and then Atigua Mountain, these are called or known as the Far East constituencies. From 1992, the NPP has never won in these areas until what we saw the former Bono East regional minister do Kofi Amapoini in 2016 when he won the Atigua Mountain constituency. And so Sene East, Sene West, True East, and True West were also the four we've not seen NPP occupy until 2020 when Stephen Jalula made it to represent the party in True West. So the people of the party, the delegates, some of which I've spoken to, and then some party executives believe changing a winning team is a big mistake. Jalula came and has been able to win the seat for the NPP, and so they feel once he is the only person to have been able to achieve this feat, changing him will be suicidal for the party. Some of them I've spoken with, this is what they've been telling me. So from that conversation, it looks as if Jalula is going to win convincingly. And so I wouldn't be surprised if, as the first person to win the seat for the NPP, and as the current member of parliament, and as the deputy roads minister, I'll be very surprised if the delegates go to vote against him next month. But largely, we can't write Garba Idrisu entirely off someone who has been a DC before, someone who has been a parliamentary candidate before. He equally knows the dynamics, he knows the terrain, and so anything could happen. But largely, from the people we've been speaking with on the grounds, party executives, some delegates have communicated with him over the past couple of weeks. Jalula, Stephen, stands a high chance of going again in that area, and they believe should he go, the probability that he's going to retain the seat is extremely high, because as a first timer, he was appointed as a deputy roads minister by Nana Akufo-Addo in 2021. So they believe he has what it takes to continue with what he started in 2020.
For me, Rafiq, hold for me. Martina, hold for me. Anas, all of you, just hold for me. Let me cross over now to the Bono area. Precious Semerva joins the conversation. Precious, what can you share with us in that region as far as these primaries are concerned?
Well, it promises to be interesting, just like the other regions. A bit of a background. Before Bono East and Ahafo region were taken out of the old Brong Ahafo region, the remaining Bono region has 12 parliamentary seats. And out of that, the NPP were having 11 out of the 12, with only Banda belonging to the NDC, Ahmed Ibrahim as the MP. Now, what happened was that before the 2020 election, the NPP lost more seats and they had to share the 12 seats with the NDC. So it's now 6 for the NPP, 6 for the NDC. But what is happening currently is that out of the remaining 6, one, that is the regional capital, Sunyani East, is under contention. as we speak, there are some legal issues that they are trying to resolve, even at the law courts, because the people are not satisfied with the elections conducted from the grassroots level up to the constituency level. So they are challenging that, and that seat or constituency is still standing alone until the issues are resolved. So it's left with 5. Now, out of the 5, all the 5 parliamentary, the MPs are contesting. All 5 of them are contesting. It is only Doma East which is going to have the MP go as unopposed. That is Paul Chum Berima Apraku. He will be going as unopposed in Doma East. But with the exception of him, Doma Central, Sunyani West, Brekum East, and West will all have people challenging them, including one of the long-standing members of parliament, that is the health minister, Kwajima Menu, in Doma, who came to parliament way back 2009. And he will have a contender now in one Dr. Yao Yeboah. Dr. Yao Yeboah will be challenging him for the Doma Central seat. But if you go to Brekum, where the incumbent MP, Honorable Nelson Cheme, will have 2 other people challenging him, including the man that he took the seat from, Dr. Kwabena Chum Berima, Kwabena Chum Nyama. Nelson Cheme took the seat from Dr. Kwabena Chum Nyama, and Kwabena Chum Nyama is staging a comeback to reclaim the seat that he lost. And a new person joining the fray is Hastings Educhum. So 2 people will be contesting Nelson Cheme for the Doma Brekum East constituency. Now, if you go to the Brekum West, Koku Ajiman Ejeni Menu, well known as Agogo, we also have 2 other people challenging his seat, Koku Ohinijan, and then Isaac Osei, who used to be a district chief executive for Brekum West. Now, as I said, Doma Central will have the health minister being challenged by Dr. Yao Yeboah, and then Doma East, Dr. Chum Berima, Paul Chum Berima will be going as unopposed. But Sunyani West, where we have the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, Ignatius Bafowua, he will have 3 other people challenging him for this particular seat. Some feel that he has been there for long and he needs to pave way for others also to come in. Ama Frempoma is one of the 3, as well as Mubarak Abdullah Sisi, and then Alexander Kofi AJ. So these 3 will be challenging Ignatius Bafowua for the Sunyani West seat. But the most clear thing to note is that the 5 seats, which is without problems now, all the incumbent MPs will be contesting. It is only Doma East that will be going unopposed. The remaining will have challenges, including the health minister and then the employment and labor relations minister, Ignatius Bafowua. So the Bono region promises to be quite an interesting area to look out for in the next elections. Some believe that these MPs, including the health minister and then the labor relations minister, they have been there for long and they need to pave way for the others. But as to whether those coming in have what it takes to unseat them is also another thing. Brekum East will be very, very interesting. The man who lost the seat is coming back to fight for the seat again. He knows the terrain, he understands the game in Brekum East, and it promises to be quite an interesting contest in Brekum East.
Well, thank you very much for bringing us the scoop as far as these areas are concerned. Of course, we'll keep our fingers on the pulse of developments. There have been challenges, though. Let me come back to Rafiq Salam. For some of these contenders, there have been challenges. For example, Hayford Siao in Nsawam, Edwajiri, there were claims that he was being impeded from filing. Eventually, he was able to do that. From the Upper East, where you say there are 3 areas to look at, have there been any such challenges as far as these contenders are concerned?
Yes, one has to do with the Nandom constituency, where I earlier reported that Alex Kogmol at a press briefing a couple of days ago, stated that he was prevented severally from getting the nomination forms from the party. He came to the Nandom constituency office around 7:30 a.m., waited for the constituency secretary. At about 8 o'clock, he wasn't showing up. And then 9:10, then one of his aides called the constituency secretary, and then he was told that he was not a member of the party, and there was no way that they were going to sell nomination forms for him. And so he also put a call through to the regional secretary of the NDC, Dr. Tanko Dauda, and he also told him that only 15 forms were brought to the region, and they shared these 15 forms, 5 equally to the 3 constituencies where we are going to have these primaries. And then also, he placed another call to the national executive of the party, and his call was received by the treasurer, the national treasurer of the party, who sent him the forms, and then he filed his nomination in Accra. And so these were the challenges that he went through. But the party constituency executives on the other side are also saying that he's no more a member of the party because of certain things that he did, because they said that he campaigned against the candidature of Ambrose P. since 2012, 2016, and 2020. The party first vice chairman also told me that they held a meeting with Alex Ogmole, and he himself even confessed that it was not only 2012, 2016, 2020 that he stood, that he campaigned openly against the incumbent member of parliament, but he also did so in 2008. And so these are the scenarios also in Nandom. And they are saying that whatever it is, for them, the executives, they are bent on ensuring that he's disqualified from the vetting process, because they think that he's no more a member of the party. He was expelled from the party on December 14th. And so the Nandom constituency is one area that we are putting our eyes a little bit closer, but looking from far away, Ambrose Dere will always remain the upper dog in this race. Ambrose Dere has done so much for the people, according to the people that we have listened to, and in terms of roles, in terms of giving them employment, and a whole lot. And so it's going to be a hot contest between the two if that promise should really come on. When you move to the Lamuse constituency, talking about Dr. Bright Baligi, this is somebody who was one of the campaign coordinators of John Kojo Alan Chiramanten, and then people even thought that a candidate somehow would be fielded against him. But surprisingly, at the close of nominations yesterday, nobody filed to contest him. So he's going to go solo in this race. So clearly means that he's going to pitch his strength against NDC's Dr. Titus Abayu. But this is also an interesting constituency, Bernard, because what is happening is that this is a constituency that the MPP has never been able to retain continuously for more than 4 years. So in 2004, 2005, it was won by John Doe Baloro. That was the first MPP candidate that won the seat after it was created, you know. And then from there, 2008, 2009, it was Edward Cowell there. He won in 2008, 2012, and then also 2016. But somewhere around in 2020, he was defeated by Dr. Tetu Bayu. So the MPP has never been able to win this particular seat for more than 4 years. And so that is an interesting scenario that we are looking at here. But the biggest, one of the biggest, will come in the Central East constituency, the Central Enclave, where the Deputy Minister, Amidu Chinyere Issa, who is a Deputy Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation, will pitch his strength against Dr. Zato Jebunitia. Dr. Zato Jebunitia is a first-timer. He's a lecturer at the University of Ghana. And so he's also coming in. And when you look at the case also in the Central East constituency, no candidate, nobody has been able to win, to stay in parliament in the Central East constituency consecutively for more than 4 years. And so it's an interesting scenario. And then Amidu Chinyere Issa is bent on breaking that jinx in the Sister East constituency. But to be sure, he's also the upper dog in that particular race.
Right. Interesting perspectives there. Martina, I don't know whether you're still with us. I'd like to find out from you whether there have been any such scenarios in those constituencies in the northern region. You mentioned 5 constituencies with 10 contenders. Martina Bugri, are you still with us? Hello, Martina? You'd have to unmute. Martina, if you can hear me, you'd have to unmute so I can hear what you're saying.
Yes, I have unmuted. For the northern region is the Tatali constituency. We had such an incident where one Teyala Solomon has been chased, and he chased from the constituency to the region and then to Accra to try and get forms to file his nominations. But unfortunately, he could not make it before the close of polls yesterday. He says that from the constituency, he was asked to come to the region to get his forms. And when he arrived in the regions, he was redirected to Accra. And so some impediments, according to him, some impediments were put in to stop him from contesting Thomas Mbomba. So Thomas Mbomba gets the opportunity to go unopposed. But the interesting bit about this constituency is where Solomon is coming from has the large population that supports the NPP. And so people are saying that with what has happened, there's likelihood that there will be apathy in that area, which could go a long way in affecting the NPP in retaining the seat.
Very, very interesting story there, Martina Bugri. I mean, the runaround he was given. But do you know whether he's decided to petition the party on this matter? Do you have any idea?
Yes, what I've been told is that he's going to have discussions with his people, those who are supporting him, those who help him in putting up things together to want to file. He would have a discussion with them, and when whatever decision they come up with, then he would take an action. So if they decide that he should petition the party, he would. But if he decides that they should step aside and back the candidate who's just filed, then they would do that. Now, one other interesting area I mentioned earlier is the Bimbilla constituency. In the Bimbilla constituency, people in the municipal capital are not too happy or too impressed with the performance of the defense minister. And so people in the capital want him out. But when you go to the hinterland, that's where he has a lot of support. Now, we are told that the hinterland has a larger population than the town center itself. And so if that is going to go by, there's a likelihood that he might win. But we are also told that Mr. Zaruk has been able to infiltrate into the hinterland where Mr. Donito has this massive support. And so he's likely to also break in, get some votes from that area to complement what he's going to get from the municipal capital.
Right, Martina, very interesting perspectives. Just hold for me as well. I think when I come back to the team again, it will be to wrap up. But let me do the last two. Let's head to the Bono East area. Anas Sabit, are there any such situations in the Bono East region where people were frustrated in the process of trying to get forms or file their forms? Anas.
Benjamin, not really. In the Bono East region, like I said earlier, 3, constituencies are going to witness this particular election. Kitchener South, Kintampo South, Pro West. I have spoken with the General Secretary or the Regional Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, and then for Kitchener South and Kintampo South, there hasn't been any interest from anyone trying to contest the incumbents, James Akosa in Kitchener South, and then Alex Jan in Tampa South. Like I said, True West saw one Derby Busu, showing interest, and we are yet to hear whether he was frustrated before he he was able to file or take his forms. But so far as the region is concerned, no such issue is recorded anywhere within the region. Again, we should also note that this region is largely an NDC area. From the dynamics, 11 seats seeing only 3 belonging to the NPP and 8 for the opposition National Democratic Congress. And all these 3 incumbents are first-timers. Uchman South, J. Mensa Korsam, for the first time won in 2020. Alejan in Pintampo South won for the first time in 2020. And Stephen Derula also won for the first time in 2020. So in this particular area, you could see, even though it's an NDC area, these 3 who are the incumbents are not really being contested because they are going for the first time. If you look at Bono, the dynamics in Bono, the likes of Ignatius Bakwewa, Alex Sheme, these guys have been in parliament for so long. And so the constituents or the people of the area feel they need to make a change. It isn't same in the Bono East region where, like I said, only these 3 are all first timers. And with the exception of True West, the 2 other constituencies, Ishman South and Kintampo South, are going unopposed, clearly showing you that these 3 the people in the area feel they have what it takes to go again. And because they are first timers, there's no need changing again team, like I said in my earlier report.
All right, let's go now. Thank you, Anas. Let's conclude on that angle with Precious Semevo in the Bono region. Precious, any such reactions, any such developments in the Bono region? Precious Semevo, if you can hear me, please unmute.
Not really, Ben. Yes, I have unmuted and I can hear you. Yes, so Ben, not any such development in the Bono region. The filing of nominations were largely, fair, where aspirants were able to go through the process without much difficulties. But the interesting in all those 5 constituencies that I talked about, but the interesting thing had to do with the constituency that currently is under some form of litigations by way of the delegates, the elections from the grassroots level and order, which is still being battled in court. One candidate or one aspirant tried filing his nomination. I'm not too sure what inspired that, because we all know that the constituency is not taking part in this exercise as at now until the court issues are resolved. So he went to the constituency office. There was no one there. He came to the regional office. There was no one there. And onlookers were like, but is it that this man didn't know? This man and his supporters didn't know that the constituency is not taking part in this election. I'm referring to one Ambassador Kumi, who some time ago was suspended because he decided to go independent. He was suspended, he has served his suspension, and then he is back to the party. But it is not clear why he decided to go through the process and create a certain impression that he was being frustrated for a constituency which in itself is under suspension because of the legal issues. But I think those issues were cleared, and I'm sure he will have to wait until the court issues are cleared. But for the other areas, it was as smooth as anything, and we wait to see what will happen to Ignatius Bafu, 3 contenders trying to unseat him. If you go to Doma, Ajimamenu also have same, and these 2 are some of the legends, if I should put it that way, in Parliament. And their experience, many feel Parliament will need that. But on the ground, some also feel, you've done what you could and paved the way for others to also explore the avenue and see what new they can provide for the constituency. So promises to be great here in the Bono region when finally the election takes place 27th next month.
Thank you, Precious. Let me finally bring in Fred Kwame Asari in the Volta region. Fred, if you can hear me, straight to the point, which constituencies? Of course, we know in the Volta region is just one that is being looked at. But what's it shaping up like in the Volta region as far as the MPP is concerned? They have one seat there. All the other seats are being held by the NDC. So there's a wide field there. What can you share with us?
Well, like you rightly said, the NPP has only one seat here in the Volta region. That is the Hohoe constituency seat, which was won by John Peter Ameru in 2020. It was a historic moment for the party because they didn't believe that they would lose that seat to the NPP in 2020. But then, under the guide of John Peter Ameru, the NPP won the seat in 2020. Now, coming to the current primaries, nobody has nation forms to contest the primary apart from the incumbent MP, that is John Peter Ameru. Yesterday, a delegation of electoral area coordinators presented or submitted his nomination form on his behalf to the in the constituency. And then they are of the belief that John Peter Ameru has done well within the last 4 years, even from 2016 to 2020, and then to date. They believe that John Peter Ameru has done well. He has contributed to the economic development of the area, infrastructure development, and as well as human capacity development. He has sponsored a lot of people to he has sponsored a lot of people to advance in their education, provided jobs and other things. So they believe that John Peter Ameru has contributed to enhancing the human resource of the area, improving on infrastructure. We'll talk about road infrastructure. Currently, Hohoe has a stadium, a better one compared to what is in Ho, where the Hohoe United FC plays their Division 1 matches. And they are saying that that alone is enough contribution to the growth of the local economy, because when matches are being played, people come around to sell, people come around to buy, and then it helps to improve the local economy. So the electoral area coordinators and then constituency executives are of the belief that this, among other things, would help John Peter Ameru to maintain the seat for the NPP. So they are cashing their hopes in John Peter Ameru, hoping that in 2024 he would maintain the seat. However, generally the NPP is hoping to win some other seats. I can make mention of Afajato South, where Etonam Flow, the current DCE, won the primaries and will be representing the NPP in 2024. And they are hoping that they would make inroads in that constituency and then win that seat as well. Also, the North Dine and then whole central constituency, they are hoping that they will make some inroads and then win these two seats to add to the Hohoe seat as well.
Fred, thank you very much. But have there been any complications with, as far as Hohoe is concerned? Are there, if you look at the contests, I do know that for many they've said that John Peter Ameru should go. But have there been any people who have wanted to contest who have been frustrated?
Come again with the question.
I'm asking, Hohoe, John Peter Ameru, yes. But are there any contenders, any from the MPP end, who would have wanted to contest, who have been frustrated in any way? You know, in other places, there's been talk about constituency executives frustrating some people. Has any such thing happened in Hohoe?
Well, there had not been any frustration, I should say, because it was an open vote. The executives were at the office waiting for anybody who would want to come and pick forms to come and pick the nomination from then submit. However, earlier I picked information that some people, the chief director of the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry had made intentions to contest. Also, the current DC was told was interested in contesting. The NPP, the second vice chairperson of the NPP, also I had information that he also wanted to contest. However, when nominations were open, none of these people stepped forward to pick nomination forms and then submit to contest in the primary. So the indication is that they are all showing their weight behind John Peter Amewu, knowing very well that he won the seat in 2020, and then he has the expertise and capability to help the NPP retain the seat. Mind you, that is the only seat the NPP has in the Volta region. So should they thought or should they not prepare their backward before heading into the 2024 elections, they may lose the seat. The NDC, on the other hand, is doing everything possible to regain that seat. They have elected Mr. Chekpo to contest the parliamentary elections in 2024, and they are doing everything possible. They are always on the ground campaigning from social gatherings to the market. They are always on the ground campaigning, trying to win back the love of the people of Kokwe who were once rallying behind the NDC and then gave them their mandate to represent the constituency from 1992 till 2020. So the NDC is also on the ground campaigning vigorously to regain back the seat. So I'm sure the executives of the NPP gawked the situation and then realized that the only person who can win them the seat is John Peter Amewu, because he has the expertise. He has done it before, so they should throw their weight behind him, support him, campaign vigorously for him, and then so that at the end they would retain the seat.
Thank you, Fred Kwame Asari, all the way in the Volta region. Our focus had been, of course, the only seat that the MPP has currently in that region, the Hohoi seat, with John Peter Amewu being the anchor or the arrowhead. We're going to have to cap off the conversation here. I would have wanted to take final thoughts, but we'll cap it off here. Thank you, Fred Kwame Asari in the Volta region. Thank you, Precious Semevo in the Bono region. Thank you, Anas Sabit in the Bono East region. Thank you, Martina Bugri in the Northern region. Thank you, Rafiq Salam in the Upper West region. I hope I've mentioned everybody and I've not left anyone out. Well, we'll take a breather here and we'll be back with a lot more on the AM show. Welcome back on the AM show. Now, this is the season of giving. Of course, we always, I think it's Acts 20:35. It's reiterated there. It is more of a blessing to give than to receive. And oftentimes we want to restrict giving to this period of the year. But how about we give all year round? And there are some people who have committed themselves to that, aka philanthropy. This morning we're hosting Dave Bishop, a man whose philanthropy has actually helped teachers in the central region. We'll be getting into his story. Mr. Bishop is right here in the studio with me. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing?
So I guess this is all the way from Detroit. That's the Detroit Pistons, right?
Detroit Lions.
You have the Lions too?
Yeah, because the Pistons has kind of sucked this year.
they sucked this year, huh?
Yeah.
So you are dissociating yourself from the Pistons.
The Lions is the NFC Central champions this year, so we
I see.
a great football team. Yeah, good sports.
All right, so the Lions are roaring.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
All right. So, right, from Detroit, Michigan, everything in between, but you've been a stalwart in philanthropy for a while. Why? What got you into philanthropy?
Well, what you just said, the statement on the scripture of Acts, is more blessing to give to receive.
Right.
I come from a Christian background. My father was a minister, so we taught early. He taught us the biblical principles of giving. At an early age, I didn't quite understand about giving because I was more or less growing up as stingy. But as I grew older, as I mature, I realized that giving brings me the most joy, and it's just a habit, way of life for me, and I just love doing it.
Mm. So how long would you say you've been an active philanthropist? If I asked you, how long have you been active at this, what would you say?
I would say since 2018, primarily when I got my wake-up call was when we had the tragic of COVID. During the COVID era, a lot of people needed assistance and help, and it was guys like me. I was working at the airport. I was called an essential worker, and I saw the need, and I saw the call of action, and that's when I had my mind change up. Okay, this is going to be a calling for me.
It's going to be a calling for you. So you see it as some sort of calling. It's something from God.
Definitely a calling. Definitely calling.
All right. Why Ghana? You could have gone anywhere. I mean, there are issues in South Sudan. There's a lot of work to be done in Haiti, poverty, grinding poverty. Many different parts of the world, in Asia, in South America, in Africa, and all of that. Why Ghana?
Good question. Good question. I get asked that question often. I came to Ghana 2 years ago. It was for Christmas Day. Time when I stepped foot, and I just came on a humble. Let me just go do something to do for New Year's Eve. I came on a humble. When I stepped foot on Ghana soil, it was just a tremendous impact on me. I immediately met friends. I immediately was accepted. I felt the warmth. I felt the embrace. So I came back the next year and I brought 14 people with me. We stayed at the Kempinski, and from the Kempinski, I met a gentleman. He was security, which brought me over to the central region. This year, they started landing yesterday. I brought 47 people to bring them into see the environment, because I want them to see what I see. I want them to feel. And then Ghana just made a tremendous impact on my life and impression on me that I feel this must be the spot. This must be the spot.
So it started with the hospitality. You felt right at home.
Yes.
Then you had the engagement with the security official.
Yes.
You went to the central region, and you say the next time you came with 14 people, and now it's 47.
Correct.
Wow.
And next year's going to be 100. That's my goal.
So wait, you bring these people in so that they can see the harsh realities of the ground, and so they can chip in, so they can also leverage their networks and contribute. What is it?
It's just, I want them to, first of all, see what I saw, feel what I see, then contribute to make an economic impact. Because I have a touring group I started called Going to Ghana, and it's a tour group where we invite residents from the United States to come experience the African culture, primarily West Africa, which is Ghana.
Okay, so you've been to the central region. Where exactly have you been to?
I've been to Cape Coast, I've been to Elamina. So going back to the story of Kempinski, one of the security guards is from the Nakuru village. And he spoke to me about that Pacific region. So I went there to visit, met with the chief. I saw there was a need, then I saw there was a need for a call of action. And that's what ended me up there, which is beautiful up there.
I see. And we do know that you started this 5-room teachers' quarters. How did
6-bedroom now?
It's 6-bedroom now.
6-bedroom now.
It's no longer even 5.
It's no longer 5.
What got you interested in that? What did you see? A teaching facility? Did you see a school? What got you? What
I saw was that I know the teachers are our educators. They are the brain. They are the seed for our children to learn to excel. So what I saw, the teachers. Some teachers may now have no living facilities, may need to walk. I know if I get to the teachers and make them comfortable, and that would enable to make the students more comfortable in a better learning environment. So I'm doing a 6-bedroom teachers' quarters, dormitory. They stay throughout the week, they can stay whenever, teach the kids when they want to go home the weekend, see their family. It's something to make them more comfortable. And that's just the first of its kind in the central region. So we can plan to span all around that region. But I want to just tribute and congratulate our educators. That's not an easy job, the educators. And they're sometimes always felt not overlooked. So it was just my way to kind of do something for the region.
Right. And of course, you're targeting education here. How did you secure the land? I'm sure you had to interact with the chiefs, the local chiefs, and all of that. How did you secure the land for the project? Did you explain the project to the people, and did they say, "Oh, you can have the land"? Or what process?
The land was already developed, and it was an idea, and the village needed the funding. So me and myself we came to provide the funding to do it. And as this Saturday, December 30th, I will be installed as the development chief of the region.
Oh, I see.
So I have a little bit more.
This Saturday?
December 30th, yes.
December the 30th?
Yes, sir. So I will be the new development chief of the village, and I will be able to kind of do more projects that help that whole region, which I got a lot of ideas I want to bring to the table. I'm just so inspired and excited about it, and passion.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of being installed the development chief, here we call it Nkoswo Hene, Nkoswo Development. So Nkoswo Hene. How does that make you feel? I mean, I'm sure when you were told, what was going through your mind, that you were going to be the development chief?
Well, by me not being really experienced in Ghana culture, I didn't know because I get a lot of, I say accolades in the city. So it wasn't really, I didn't have to know it would be such an impact, because I did it from the heart. I wanted to really help the people. And I told the chief, I said, if I don't be development chief, I want to help the people. When I went there and saw them, I looked in their eyes. Some was hopeless, some had hope, and they're looking for just a little assistant. And I just want to be that caboose to get this train going.
Yeah, you just want to be that caboose to get things going. So Nkosua, Mpuntuo, all of those refer to development, and we're glad that you've come along. Beyond this, I mean, you are president, you're founder of Dave's Choice Community Development Corporation. Is that restricted to the Ghana end? Because I also know that you have other things that you're looking at generally. Is this restricted to Ghana? Or is it?
Here's it. I have Dave's Choice Community Development Corporation. That's from the United States.
We're
going to launch Dave's Choice Community Development Ghana.
Right.
So that arm.
Okay. So it's just Ghana.
Yes.
This adds to it. This is just the Ghanaian end of things. I see. Sir. And moving forward, I'm sure, like you said, 14 people initially, 47 people this year. You're planning for 100 people come next year. Beyond this year, beyond the 100 people, what are you hoping to achieve? Now that you're going to be installed a development chief, what are you hoping to achieve in these communities?
Well, I just hope I can make Accra, Ghana, or the country of Ghana, a destination must for all African Americans. A lot of the African American states go to within the states, the Miamis, the California, the Vegas. This could be the new destination, the new hub for black riches and black culture, and get them experience. Because once they come, they're going to be like me, hooked. It's just so much wealth, so much heritage. You know, I went to the Cape Coast Council my first visit. That tore me up. That tore me up. Hearing the history and the stories, and now how I came about. And what they failed to realize, the Portuguese, and when they took us and the slave master, they failed to realize that we wasn't coming back. My goal is to tell everybody we're coming back. Right. We're going to reclaim that, and we're going to embrace our brothers and sisters.
And you know, we've had the year of return, we've had beyond the return, and all of that, and we've had quite a number of artists, even prominent people, come through from K-Dot, Kendrick Lamar, if you're talking about musicians and others. We've had quite a number of them come through, and I feel it also will help our economy having these people come through the country. So what next? What next for you?
I just heard you say it was the year return, beyond
the return.
So the new motto now is going to be the homecoming.
The homecoming. That's a good one.
That's what we're going to call it. So every year we bringing everybody home. It's the big homecoming. We're going to celebrate our homecoming kings, our chiefs, our economy. We're going to bring everybody home. So that's my new motto, my new marketing. We're going to call it the big homecoming.
The big homecoming. Dave Bishop, any final words?
My final words, I want to thank everyone for receiving me. I want to thank the city of Ghana. I want to thank my chief, Nana Francis, the seventh, for welcoming me to the community. And I just like I say, and I love your cuisine. I can't wait to get some jollof rice when I get through it here. And I just look being a part of the Ghanaian community, making my commitment.
All right. I think it's only fitting to start. Nana, it's basically saying in Twi, chief or ruler, thank you for the good work.
Thank you so much.
All right. And that is Dave Bishop. He is a man whose philanthropy has helped teachers in the Central Region. And we've spoken about one of his core selling points, of course, that 5-bedroom, now 6-bedroom teachers' quarters in the Central Region. And like he mentioned, on Saturday, he will be installed the development chief in his community. He's also president and founder of Dave's Choice Community Development Corporation. Well, stay with us, because when we return from the break, it's more on that. We'll be hosting Bozoma St. John. She's in Accra to host a workshop seeking to empower women as we enter the new year. We'll bring you more on that. How do you feel about Ghana?
Oh, I mean, I love Ghana. I come back so often. It really feels like home. I feel like there's certainly a dedication for people who grow up elsewhere who need to come back to Ghana and make it their own. You know, not just your parents' motherland, but your own. And so I'm endeavoring to do that myself.
I see. Now, in terms of women's empowerment, I mean, this is a conversation that has been going on for centuries, millennia even. Women getting the franchise, being able to vote, in some countries even having the right to drive, among others. But what really got you interested in women's empowerment? Of course, you're a woman.
Yes.
But not every woman is so neck deep in this. What got you so interested in this?
Well, you know, I think for me, especially being in the U.S., creating a career in the U.S., being in corporate America, there's always been a challenge with not just empowerment, but advancement for women. You know, when you walk into boardrooms, they are not made up of women. And goodness, I think the worst of all is that it's not women of color, you know, not black women. And so being one of very few, sometimes being one of one, has made me feel like there has to be a way for me to leave some sort of legacy. I can't be the only one. I have to make a way for others. And so for me, it's become a lifelong, I would say, endeavor and challenge to make sure that I create pathways for other women as well.
Okay, and speaking of those pathways, what has your path been like? And of course, with women who try to get past the ceiling, break the glass ceiling,
Yeah.
it typically comes with it's fraught with many dangers and complications.
Yes.
What has your path been like?
Well, it has been fraught with many, many dangers. Crashing the glass ceiling, I like to say, is not for the weak or the timid. You know, it's a dangerous sport, but I've been able to be successful in reaching the heights of, you know, the top companies in the world. So I recently was the chief marketing officer at Netflix. Before that, I was the chief marketing officer at Endeavor. Before that, the chief brand officer at Uber. Before that, the head of marketing and entertainment at Apple and Apple Music. Before that,
Truly
at
global.
PepsiCo. Yeah, so it's, you know, I like to say that I don't preach in theory, I preach in practice. So I've been in the room.
I like that. Could you repeat that? You don't preach in theory, you preach in practice.
That's correct. Yes, I've done it. I've done it myself. And so now it's time for me to tell other women how to do it and know that they can be successful even when they have to crash through the ceiling themselves.
You're a Hall of Famer, inducted marketing executive, entrepreneur, and author. Before we get into the Badass Workshop, I just want to find out, with all this experience that you have, with everything you have, how has it shaped you into the person you are currently, sitting on my show today? And how do you feel that could resonate with other women, whether here in Ghana, in Haiti, wherever?
Oh, I love that question. I love that question because I think so many times we feel like we have to be boxed in to an ideal that somebody else has created. You know, some stereotype that certainly doesn't look like us, doesn't feel like us. It's no secret at all that when I'm in the boardroom or in these companies or inducted into the Hall of Fame, that I proudly am Ghanaian. You know, I wave that banner very, very loudly. And I think a lot of times people feel like they can't bring their full selves, you know, to the work or to their experience. They have to shelter and have to fit into a box.
Right.
And I refuse to do so. I mean, I'm going to show up to the boardroom with my shoulders out also.
All right, chin up, chest out.
Yes.
But here's something truly badass. And, you know,
okay.
I struggled with, in our context, using that word.
Yes.
Badass Workshop. Now that's badass. How did the idea for this Badass Workshop come about? How long have you been doing this?
Yeah, I've been doing it for 3 years. And you know what's interesting is that I've been so busy climbing the corporate ladder that every time somebody asks me, well, how do I negotiate for a bigger raise? How do I quit a job? How do I get a new one? How do I get recommendations? I would answer them quickly, sort of one-on-one. But really in 2020, during the pandemic, when I was finally sitting down, not able to go anywhere, was when I realized that I could answer for a broader audience. I could answer for more people. And so I started doing it just on my Instagram Live, you know, would answer questions. And then I felt that, you know what, I'm answering this in like 2-minute bursts or 1-minute bursts. Instead, why not dedicate a whole hour and really go deep on some of these questions and then provide the context to people. So I've done about 12 sessions now where they're all available on my website. And it's for people to get deep, you know, and really understand how it is that they can also advance and excel their own careers.
So this workshop, I mean, there are so many other things done along the same lines.
Yeah.
What sets apart the Badass Workshop from all the others?
Well, maybe it's just in the name.
Maybe it's just the name.
Because you had a hard time saying the name, right?
It does grip you like, okay.
It does. Because it has to break conventional wisdom. You know,
Right.
I didn't want to name it something that felt like you were in a classroom.
No, you got that one right.
Yeah, thank you.
It does hit you like, okay, what
Right,
what are these
right,
people
exactly.
up to?
What are you talking about? You know, because that's the attitude that you have to have in order to make change. You know,
Right.
like history isn't made by the weak. It's not made by people who are timid. It's not made by people who are afraid of breaking the traditional molds. And so if you're going to do that, then you must be badass. And so this is a different workshop because it's not meant for those who seek to just stay where they are.
Those who want to get outside of the box, outside of the straitjacket. Can you tell us a bit about the structure of the workshop, particularly as far as membership
Yes.
and offerings are concerned?
Yes. So I made the workshop so that it could be appealing to everyone. At first, I created it just
Now that's going to be
online.
pretty difficult because everyone, I don't know how you're going to manage that, but
Oh,
yeah, do
yes.
share.
Yes, well, because you know what? I feel like my bullseye, the people in the center of my audience are women, particularly Black women, most specifically. But I don't think that these concepts are outside of the norm for anybody. You know, it's like, who doesn't want to negotiate for more money? How are you going to do that? Do you know the tools in order to go ask for it? Probably not. And if you do, you're probably doing it poorly. And so if I've done it, being who I am, then why can't that apply to other people? And so for me, the membership is a community. You know, you enter this space knowing that you're amongst other people who are like you, who are looking for tools and ways to get ahead in their own careers, who understand that it is not easy. You don't just wake up and do it, that you actually have to learn about it. You have to practice it. Maybe you have to get a little uncomfortable in it. And so for me, I'm really trying to make a space for people who need the encouragement, need the tools in order to do it. And like I said, there are 12 classes. It goes, you know, everything from, like I said, money management to personal brand management, which of course has become a hot topic now. Everybody wants to know how to make a personal brand. And I really believe in those tenets, but you have to understand how to do that, or public speaking, or any number of things. And so this is the very first time that I will do it live in person. It's always been virtual. And so I'm excited, you know, to be in the room with lots of people who are interested in understanding how to break the norm and enter into the new year.
How to break the mold. Let's talk about getting there. Continuous learning and adaptation are crucial, you know, components, cogs in the wheel. Tell us about how you fuse these into your workshops.
Yeah. Well, I think that learning is a continuous process. You know, it's like many of us, it's like you can learn a lesson, let's say anywhere, right? You learn a lesson at church, for instance, okay? You go and listen to a word, you apply it to that moment. Well, a year later, 2 years later, you might hear the same sermon and the same word and feel differently because your life has changed. You know, there are different circumstances.
It'll hit you differently.
Exactly. I feel the same way about this workshop, that you might be in a point in your career right now where the conversation around public speaking or speaking up for yourself hits you differently. And then in a year or 2 years from now, you might need to hear it again because you're at a different space and time. And so I'd like for the content to feel evergreen, that you can always return to it, always get new tools and apply them differently.
Okay. One thing at the end of every cycle, every year like this, people do is make resolutions.
Yes.
Over time, I have learned not to so much of make resolutions as to look at the other resolutions I've already had and how much I've attained, and probably get back to the drawing board rather than start afresh with new resolutions. As far as this training is concerned, if you have to achieve things, you must make conscious choices.
Yes.
You must have a scale of preference. You must know what is primus inter pares for you. How does this feed into your workshop as well? Helping people with making those conscious choices.
Yes. Oh, I love that you said that, because conscious choices are exactly how to make change. You can't do it just by wishing it. You know, so many people want to sit down and say, oh, I wish my life was different. Oh, I wish I could excel better in my career, but you don't make any steps to do that.
Yeah, that's why you have to be badass.
This is why you have to be a badass, exactly. You have to break the mold. And I think really, you know, they say that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, right? This is the first step. You've got to make the choice for yourself that you want to change something. And so you come to the workshop and you can make a change immediately.
Which brings me to the question: who then can participate in this workshop? Is it anybody? I mean,
Yeah, I think you
are there
should
any?
participate.
You streamline. Who can?
You
who can
should participate in the workshop.
Okay, nice. Thank you for the invitation.
You're invited, exactly. I think you'd be a brilliant member of the community.
I was about to say, though, that even as you try to empower the women, rope in the men.
Yes.
Because the men
Yes.
will also, once the men come along,
Yes.
it becomes easier
I mean,
wherever you go. So,
And,
but I wanted to
we're already
keep my-
matching, so I think that you should come. But
Okay.
yes, to that point, everyone can come. Anyone can come. I'm hosting it at the Kempinski Hotel, and it's on Thursday. I'm very excited about it. It's like, come by and hear a word.
All right. Let's talk about, for those watching us, a lot of them will be thinking, okay, so how about those who have gone through this in the past? Do you have any testimonials, stories to share from those who have participated,
Yes.
and what the impact has been?
Oh, it's always such a joy. You know, the most interesting thing that has happened out of this workshop for
Tell me.
is seeing the groups of people who've created their own alumni networks based on the Badass
Oh, I see.
Workshop. So on LinkedIn, there are several groups that have sprouted on their own without my help or my influence.
Organically.
Yes, based on the workshop. And they share tips in there, they share success stories and testimonials, they help encourage each other. But I also love just getting the tags on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn where somebody says they used my methods to get a raise or to get promoted. I adore those because it makes me feel like, okay, if I influenced one person, that's good enough. But now I've had several, so it feels really, really good.
Good. So what next for the Badass Workshop?
Yes.
This coming event, the workshop, future plans, what are you looking at next year?
Yeah.
What next?
Oh gosh, well, it's funny, when I announced that I was gonna have this live in-person event in Ghana, the comments underneath that post were like, come to Brazil, come to Canada. Like all of these different people who have participated virtually want me to come there live. So we'll see, but Ghana's the first stop. So we'll see how it goes and then perhaps I continue.
All right, so we've already spoken about who can participate. It's happening at the Kempinski Hotel on the 28th. That's 2 days from now. That's what, Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday, yeah.
Okay. What can we expect? What can those who will participate expect from Bozoma St. John and all the different series in the workshop?
Yes. Well, the specific workshop is called Rise into the New You.
Rise into the New You.
Correct. And so this new you should begin immediately. We don't need to wait for resolutions, but you know what? It's an important time of year to do that. So I want us to be reflective of what we have done in the past. As you said, sometimes you need to take a moment to understand what you've already been through. But my aim is to give people the tools and the confidence to break down some of the old habits that have already been established, to gain new tools to be able to achieve what they want for the newness of themselves. Now, again, that sounds kind of vague, but honestly, I think that for all of us, you can have several goals, different goals in your life, but the same tools can apply, for different people. And so my hope is that people come out of the workshop feeling inspired. They feel like they have tools to actually make changes in their lives. And, we'll have a little cocktail hour afterwards where I can give some one-on-one talks too. So the Q&A should be good. I want it to be an intimate room, and feel as if we're getting empowered together.
All right. Well, time now for me to rise into the new me. I think we can do that together. But any final thoughts before you go?
Well, I'm just so excited to be here in Ghana. It's been a long journey of a big career that now is in transition. And so I'm hopeful that there'll be a rise of really powerful Ghanaian executives who will rise into the spots I've already been in.
All right. So time to break the mold, time to go through the glass ceiling, time for women to arise. Yeah, and we the men are backing. Bozoma St. John, she's in the crowd to host a workshop seeking to empower women. It's at the Kempinski Hotel, the 28th day of this month. Do you have a sign or something you guys use?
A sign?
Yeah.
What is that?
Maybe you should contemplate something
like a.
Usually when the Women's Stuff, International Women's Day, they have a sign, something.
Wow.
Going.
You know what?
Maybe you should contemplate.
You
something.
should be a marketer.
I should, huh?
Yeah.
I have it in me, huh?
You should do it. Yeah.
Alternative work, I could do so many things. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on the AM show.
There are no classrooms, no furniture, and no teaching and learning materials.
I need your more teacher and a question. Said, says a nature cook grandpa at the battery, same conya, say, an idea conya free, fear by any no monkey to him say, Uben who be by no sooner conya, will be on your conya no at nafum. The best lab and so bad and Amayanya school, come at them.
Say yes, yeah, dear crana, one, it's been number, a being to me rare class of granade, yeah, pamomo.
The animals sometimes enter our classrooms while we are learning, and we would have to stop and drive them away. Our attention is always divided because while listening to the teacher, you're also tempted to focus on conversations and activities going on outside.
I decided to experience it for myself, so I pitched camp at the footing of the junior high school JHS 1 class, and I could hear everything. Here, the JHS 1 pupils are learning science. The JHS 2 pupils are having their mathematics class. And the JHS 3 have social studies. But as I sit here in JHS 1, I can hear everything that is happening in the second and third classrooms. So this is the challenge here at the Tamfiano DA Basic School. Now, the history. Until 2016, the school lacked a JHS wing. Pupils aspiring to continue their education beyond the primary level had to embark on a journey spanning approximately 4 miles to Bodom or Kokuma. The construction of the JHS wing, achieved through communal labor, marked a milestone in the school's development. However, for 7 long years, the community has hung on to the hope that authorities would transform their makeshift pavilion into a complete classroom block, providing a conducive environment for teaching and learning. Unfortunately, this dream remains unfulfilled, and the school continues to grapple with the shortage of teachers, inadequate accommodation, and harsh conditions.
Community is school down or from a The
community has tried its best in building the school. The current classroom they are using was built by the community. And Aboa, and I'm saying community now holding so we will urge the government to help develop the school and also post more teachers to the community.
Problem Emma baby teachers no shower hanese. You supposed to be bad. But the better accommodation. The
reason why teachers refuse to be posted here is because of the accommodation issues. The community bungalow is just 3 rooms, woefully inadequate for more than 3 teachers. Also, there are no rooms for rent.
The
pervasive fear of ghosts haunts some pupils. This fear, perhaps symbolic of the uncertainty surrounding the future of Tamfiano DA Basic School, adds another layer of complexity to the challenges faced by both educators and pupils.
I'm saying I was school on NT. I'm a school and I show me say me who for parenting who
We are scared due to the closeness of the cemetery. We always get drenched whenever it rains because of the leaking roofs. We need help.
Monsieur, who's rolling? Monsieur, Monsieur says some baby ababechi.
If you say every car with school, a bus school car, you so say, yeah, bar. Yent me, Siadi, ye. At times, we free fear, but now, Mount Faber, she jot money, name a name of or you know, soon, over Baffin, I'll be for
Chris Amayao and Mr. Apia are 2 of the 3 teachers who handle the junior high school. They did not shy away from sharing their frustration.
One teacher teaching here, the voice you also hear at the same time. The children also is also listening to what different person is what teaching, so it becomes confusing. At times, even a teacher may create a jokes in one of the class, whilst some of them will be here laughing. Have you seen, because of the nature of the structure?
In this locality, we find it difficult because the teacher, you don't have much teachers over here, so a teacher can handle even more than 2 or 3 subjects in the school here. So 3 teachers are controlling the whole of what JHS. And in the community, you can also have burden, or you can have room to get or to hire and stay inside.
We are managing with it, because if you are teaching and animals are roaming around, you cannot stop what you are doing and chase them. So we'll be teaching while they also be roaming.
In the midst of the tranquility of the cemetery, the pastoral symphony of sheep, and the chaos of passing vehicles, Tamfiano DA Basic School, according to the headmaster, stands as a testament to resilience.
With
all these challenges, the students still do well in academics and competitions. So, I know that if things improve, we can do better.
Upon all these stretches, better accommodation, we can do better.
The community, undeterred by the myriad of obstacles, continue to hold on to the hope that one day their school will be transformed into a haven of education, free from the distractions that currently pervade its grounds.
And 7 Dorso, but this is where we're going to have to cap it all off on the AM show. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you for keeping us company. My name is Benjamin Akapo, but guess who comes next? Aisha Ibrahim with Joy News Desk. Do stay.